Start. Recording in progress. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Zoom of freedom. Could be called a free Zoom as well, but a Zoom of freedom. And this is a month about gratitude, and which is lovely. And I've started the month with gratitude. How can you be grateful in and for flawless communication, right? And, we have a lot of ideas about what gratitude is, um, and what we have to do, right? Or how we have to be to show our gratitude, right? And with access consciousness, we talk about gratitude.
No.
Are you able? Yeah, we talk about gratitude in Five Elements of Intimacy. It's an amazing book and part of the foundation of access. But we talk about gratitude. And, once I was in England and I had done not in London, I had done a class with people who had never really known anything about access or consciousness or spirituality. It was about money, how to become money. And it was so delightful. It was such an invitation to people. And I was so grateful, right? And I went out into the forest and I was saying to the founder of Access Consciousness, Gary Douglas, and Dr. Dane here, I was saying with the trees, and I was saying, thank you so much. I'm so thankful. And it didn't feel light. And I was like, well, I really am thankful. Why isn't this feeling light? Why is this not like expanding my heart, expanding the space that I'm in? That's so strange. I'm so thankful. And I said, you know what? Actually, I'm grateful. Actually, I'm grateful. I have gratitude. It was a very different energy and a very different space. Because a lot of times when we're trying to thank someone for something, right? It's something that we're trying to give to them, right? And if we're talking about gratitude, and this is a month in exploring it in different ways, if we're talking about gratitude, we're also actually quite grateful for ourselves, for our capacity to actually be grateful for who we are, what we can receive, what we can gift to others, and how we can communicate gratitude to the various areas of our life. So this, how can we be grateful in flawless communication? And a lot of times, it's the name of my first book, 7 Steps to Flawless Communication. And we'll talk about it. I'll show you a little bit of that video. But when we're talking about communicating, right, about gratitude in this particular call, first we have to be grateful for ourselves, right? So just a question to putting out there and see what pops up for you, right? What are you grateful for about you? It's a very different way that you walk. It's a very different way that you talk. It's a very different way that you hear other people and listen to other people. It's a very different way in which you see the world, and it doesn't have to be something that, was a nice thing that someone did for you. You could be grateful for someone yelling at you. I remember years ago when I went to my first certified facilitators training of Access, you know, um, somebody suggested to me, look, I mean, I didn't have any money to stay in a hotel and I wanted to stay, on the couch at somebody's house. And someone said to me, Shannon O'Hara said to me, go and ask them, go and ask them. I'm living there, go and ask them. And I went to ask them. And they started, they'll, I can't really put you up. I can't really, I'm not sure. And I felt really like rejected. So I went and I was like teary eyed and I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect it. It was my first, class live in California. And Shannon O'Hara came over to me and started yelling at me. She said, why the hell are you hiding in your bag? Why is your face in your bag? Why did you not continue to ask? She said, do you know what a contribution you would have been to her had you not run away? And it was the first time ever in my life that someone was yelling at me, right? That someone was, quote unquote, making me wrong, but was actually trying to get me to recognize the gratitude that I could be in with them, even if it showed up in a different way than I expected, right? And so, what is it that we can be grateful for in the way people are communicating with us that gives us some awareness, about what our magic is, what's unique about us, what's different about us? And these 7 steps to flawless communication, it's a different approach, right, to communicating. Because a lot of times we're just trying to get our point across. We're just trying to get our point across, what we want. And if people can't hear us and if people are not receiving what we're saying, then we go into the wrongness of us, right? But what is the gift? What is the awareness that you can activate in you, even if it's not showing up the way you think it's going to? So just think about some things that have gone on in your life that you have identified perhaps as not kind, not nice, maybe even abusive. I'm just in a long chat in this last few hours with my childhood friend who was adopted, right? And she finally found out who her mother was and how many siblings, sisters and brothers she had, and how many nieces she has. And she was always feeling rejected by her parents who gave her up for adoption. But she's able to be grateful now, just today, because the way she grew up, the kindness she had from my mother, who was not her mother, from her grandmother, from her parents who weren't so loving. But had she stayed and not been adopted, she would have been in a family that was alcoholic, uh, physically abusive to one another. Um, the other brothers, they, died from overdose of drugs. And what her life would have been like had it turned up the way she expected it to. And so the gratitude that we can have, even for things that we think are not nice or not kindness. What has every single event, every single conversation, every single engagement that you've had, what has it gifted to you? What has it contributed to you? If you're willing to look at things from different perspectives, if you're willing to even just ask that question, what's the gift here? What is the gift here that I'm not seeing? What is this event, this conversation, this communication gifting to me? And how can I be grateful if I'm not willing to see it in a different way? So, connecting with you, really getting in line with your inner vibration. And it's so cool. One of the new body processes in access consciousness. And if you don't know about access consciousness, check it out. It's at accessconsciousness.com. One of the new body processes is something that we have been inviting with the 7 steps for years. And it's how can you see the magic that you are? How can you allow your inner light to shine out? You know, and if we're not asking, what can I be grateful for today? What is the contribution that this uncomfortable situation is being to me? If we're not asking for that, right? If we're not willing to see it, then how many times does it have to repeat itself in our lives? So how many things have you had that are showing up in a different way, but it's the same thing over and over again? And one of the things that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, says, if something keeps showing up in your life, a pain in your neck, right? Disagreement with a friend, some gaslighting, which is somebody making you wrong, then there's something about it that you love. So what is the contribution that every single thing that shows up in your life and every single person that shows up in your life can be to you? And when you're connected with you, when you're actually willing to connect with you, you see it in a very different way. Yeah. The truth of our lives is that we are magic. We are magic. So what is your unique brand of magic? And how can you really have gratitude for you? The first and foremost thing is to connect with you. And I'd like to share this little, I'm not sure if any of you have seen this, but I will, let's see, share it with you. It's about 7 steps to flawless communication. So the classes that I do, they're actually workshops on the 7 steps to flawless communication. The book is an introduction. It's a really small little book, and it's an introduction to these workshops, right? And the workshops are about inviting people to connect with themselves. It's so funny how people live their lives. There's this space of detachment that people have with themselves, not only with other people. And it's quite interesting. It's always been interesting to me how they do that, how they chose that, because we're not born that way. So there's many different things along the way that cause people to detach. But once you participate in these workshops and you get a hint of who you are, and also I invite people to recognize how they can notice when they're not connected with themselves, when they're not functioning from who they are, but from some other pedestal or from some other deep valley somewhere. You know, I take them through that. And so when they're reconnecting with people again, they can actually never again pretend they don't know. What comes to mind is Santa Claus, right? I remember when I was a kid, my mom, every Christmas Eve, she would be sitting in the living room with these 2 women when I went to sleep. And then when I woke up the next morning, they wouldn't be there. And there would be a huge number of gifts under the tree. Right? So everyone had this idea of Santa Claus, with this big old beard and, this big red and white outfit. I was like, no, I know the truth about Santa Claus. Santa Claus are these 2 women, right? That are always in my house. Of course, years later, I learned that the reason they were in my house because they were Jewish, they didn't celebrate Christmas, so they were hanging out with my mom while she did the presents. But the moment I realized that Santa Claus actually was my mom, I couldn't go back to pretending Santa Claus was something real. So the moment you participate in these workshops, and people, I'm so grateful, people get it so fast, right? They get it right away. In 1 day or a 2 day workshop, they get it. The moment they recognize that, they cannot go back to functioning from a place that is not connected with them. And the whole life changes. Like, it's not that you change the people you're around, but the way you interact with them is quite more genuine. And the way you interact with your business is quite more genuine. In fact, with the 7 steps workshops that we do, there are different topics that we address. Some people are veterinarians and they're dealing with animals in a very different way. Some people are business partners or entrepreneurs. Some people are counselors and deal with that in a different way. And I got to tell you, I had the point of view that you have to be physically present, right, with someone. But perhaps that wasn't me acknowledging what these 7 steps are capable of. And distance is an invention because when you're connected with you recognize that there's no distance from anyone or anything around. And it's just your choice on how you'd like to connect with them. So we'll be doing these workshops online, the 7 steps explosion, which is 2 days and very playful and interactive. I've got some great ways to interact online, and we break up into little groups to really utilize these steps and make them our own and play with different topics. It allows you to be so comfortable in your own skin, so comfortable talking with other people, interacting with other people, and choosing, and this is a very, every moment is a moment about choice. I call it the 3 C's: the change, the challenge, and the choice. So choosing something from you, from who you are, allows you to make choices that will not only enrich your life now, but also in the future and make you much more agreeable and much more enjoyable to be around. And you know what? You're someone that you're always around. I don't know if you noticed, you're always there. So being more fun to be around, it was a compliment for you, but also for everyone else in your life. So I would totally say come and play. We do introductory classes, which are a couple of hours, right, online. And then a full day class. It's about 5.5, 6 hours. But if we take a pause, then it's a full day. And then the 2 day class, which is really a lot of fun. And once you've done the 2 day class and a 1 day class, there's no prerequisites for any of them because you're always you, and that's the main prerequisite. Then you can also apply for a teacher's license, because I get that inviting others to be themselves and to work in their business that way, to do trainings that way, to do counseling that way, to be in relationships that way, we're creating a better world. All right. So that's my invitation to you. And I know that you can offer anyone the most delicious dinner in the world with everything they love, and they can always say no. So the choice is yours. The challenge is, are you ready to be you? Step up and really enjoy your life and your work and your family even more. And the change is explosive. Let's see. Waiting for you. Kass Thomas, 7 Steps to Flawless Communication. Let's see what your flawless communication can bring to you. All right. Yeah. So, what is it that is different about you? What is it that's unique about you? What is it that you do that maybe everyone else does, but nobody does it like you do it. And this is one of the things that we talk about in step one, which is show me the magic, you know? And maybe you're cranky. Maybe you're impatient. Maybe you talk too fast. Maybe you don't talk at all. Maybe you don't like actually to be around people, right? Everything that we have identified, right, as something that is a limitation or a defect, it's actually your unique brand of magic. And if you're willing to see it from a different perspective, you can be grateful for, first of all, that you've woken up in the morning, which means you're still alive, right? And there's something that you do, there's a way that you do it that has you still here. Right? And the gratitude in how you communicate with you will allow you to continually expand that and feel, just like I said on the video, comfortable in your own skin. That's such a contribution to your body. And a lot of times we pretend to be comfortable. Anyone ever pretend to be comfortable? But we're not. So, what are the steps that you can engage with? First, connecting with you, first, acknowledging what's different about you. And before you go into any judgment about that, just ask a question. If I were to be grateful today for me, what would that look like? What am I grateful for today? When you wake up and you're feeling cranky, when you wake up and you really are like, having judgment, right? And one of these great questions from Access Consciousness is, and this is a question that Dr. Dane asked every single time someone asked a question. Dr. Dane's the co-creator of Access Consciousness. He was like, I'm just going to try this new question. It's new. Is it yours? Hysterical, hysterical. Is it yours? Right? Who does it belong to? It's one of the Access questions. But truly, if you're waking up in the morning and you're not feeling comfortable, ask the question, if there was one thing I could be grateful for today, what would that be? What would I think about? And sometimes it takes a while. I don't know if anyone's ever asked that question to themselves in the morning and then just like, it's not immediate. Sometimes you wake up, you're happy, and it comes out right away. Sometimes it takes a while, but it's a sneaky way of connecting with you, right? It's a sneaky way of activating gratitude in your communication with you. And I would love to make a suggestion to you that you take a little box, right? Or a hat or something. And when you ask that question in the morning about gratitude, that you write it down on a little piece of paper, just something that comes up for you. What am I grateful for? My doggie. I'm grateful for my doggie. I'm grateful for, my slippers. I'm grateful for my friend. I'm grateful for the warmth in my house. I'm grateful for the sunshine, whatever that is, right? Just write it down on a piece of paper, small piece of paper, and put it in a little box, right? And keep that box or that little hat or whatever you like to put it, right? Visible for you in your room, on your desk, right? On your nightstand. So that when you're not feeling grateful, you're not feeling connected, you're having a bit of trouble, right? Being at peace with you, right? Or even something going on in your body that's not comfortable. and you can't find one thing at that moment that you're grateful for, go into that box and pull it out. Pull out a couple of those little notes that you've written in there, those little words, those things that you're grateful for, and see how it changes your mood. It's a very intense time on the planet. It's interesting because sometimes we think it's just going on in our lives. It's a very interesting time on the planet. We've been, everyone, um, either directly involved with pandemic COVID, or our family or friends or people around us, or it has somehow influenced us. And now, if you're living um, anywhere on the planet, anybody living on the planet, right? We've got in Europe, we've got some bombing going on, some a war going on. It's not that that doesn't exist in other places. I was just talking with a friend of mine from Saudi Arabia, where there's some things also going on that she's aware of. There's all kinds of things going on. And when you're connected with you, you know that sometimes what you are aware of and what is causing discomfort doesn't have to do directly with you in your life, but has to do with your intuition, has to do with your communication genius, your flawless communication with the world, right? And your body, your mind, your spirit, your being, maybe communicating that to you. If you are not willing to be connected with you, willing to be playing with, right, the gratitude that you can have for you, engaging with that, then you might not recognize how many things are communicating with you, how many people, how many awarenesses you have. So these first in this flawless communication, these 7 steps, these first 2 steps are about connecting with you and just giving you so many different ways to do that, right? Even waking up in the morning and looking in the mirror. A lot of times we get up in the morning, we look in the mirror and we're like, oh my goodness, why am I looking so old? Look at my eyes, look at my cheeks, look, right? What if you wake up in the morning and you start talking with your being, with your body, with your gratitude, feeling your heart, you know, saying good morning to your body, talking to your body, asking your body to show you the magic, you know? And that's the second step. Talk to your body. Talk to your body. Because your body will let you know what's going on with you. One of the 7 steps teachers, Omar, a guy Omar from Iraq, he's also a theta healing teacher, which is it's spiritual, right? He's also an access consciousness facilitator, which is about consciousness, you know, which is a bit different from spirituality. He's also a 7 steps teacher, which is about a sort of practical approach to communication, you know, and he's, so many things. And he, when he talks and teaches the 7 steps, we'll be doing something together on the 17th, which is in 10 days, right? It's actually between the Global Bars Class Day and the Global Foundation Day of Access. So we're doing it then together. He talks about how these this flawless communication has given him joy in his body and gratitude for him. And he's always asking body, Show me the magic that you are, and show the world the magic that we are together, you know? And his first explosion class, 2-day 7 steps explosion class, he actually had COVID the first day. And when he was willing to connect with himself and have gratitude for himself and talk to his body, on the second day, the COVID disappeared. So, what is the effect that gratitude and connection with you can have on your physical body, on your mind, ah, right? On your connection with other people, on your business, on your money and income, on your home. And you know what your home is? It's planet Earth. Yeah. So when you are connected with you, when you are willing to be that gratitude, not just say it or do it, to be it, right? The way things start showing up in your life, the way you are communicating with all the things around you is flawless because it's authentic and it's genuine and it's you. And people see you in a different way. People hear you in a different way. And you see and hear others in a very different way as well. And what the world and the universe shows up for you, brings to you on a silver platter, is just phenomenal. You know, this gal I was telling you about that is now engaging for the first time in 50 years, over 50 years, with her flesh and blood, her family, right? She's aware of all the things that she is uniquely doing, her unique brand of magic that is connected with who she truly is, or as we say in Access, who she truly be. So, what is it that's showing up in your life that maybe you have not yet acknowledged gratitude for? Who is it that's showing up in your life that perhaps you have not acknowledged the gratitude for their presence? That if you were willing to look at it from a different perspective, if you were willing to not feel like you're alone, that you have to do something, right? If you're willing to be genuinely you and acknowledge your unique brand of magic, then gratitude would be not only coming from you, it would be coming to you. It would make you feel so good in your own skin. So, what is it that you're grateful for today that maybe yesterday you didn't yet acknowledge? Simple, isn't it? Does anything pop up for you? Something that you absolutely were not grateful for, but now you are. Anything. Yeah. The second phase of these flawless communication is about acknowledging the barriers that we have up, right? A lot of times in relationship to ourselves, we have barriers up, right? Somehow disconnected from who we really are. It's so interesting. There's a gal here that she's in the embassy here, in the Kuwait embassy in Rome, in Italy, where I live. And she came over and she was in Chile, before. She'd like to become an ambassador. She's an assistant ambassador. She was in Chile. And Chile in South America, she was at the embassy, Kuwait embassy there. It, the land, and this is why I actually have this particular background going on. The land is so amazing there. And so I asked her, did you get the energy of it there? And she said, no, I have to go back actually, because the whole time I was there, I was not connected at all to me. I didn't even know what people were talking about when they talked about energy, you know, and how much I was in resistance because they were not choosing me to be an ambassador, and I had to be an assistant to the ambassador there. And we worked together with gratitude. And what she realized was that what she thought was not kind, not considerate, right, from her job and her career, because she hadn't gotten promoted, was all the things she was able to experience and how she was able to continue her journey and is now becoming an ambassador. Had she been in resistance, continual resistance, no gratitude for anything, would she continue the journey or would she stop it? So the barriers and walls that she had up, blocking people out, not being grateful, slowed her down. She wasn't connected with her body. She wasn't connected with her particular magic. She was not acknowledging it. And the gratitude and the humble that she is now is a potency that allows her to be seen and be heard, and her career is off the charts, you know? So what are the walls and barriers that you have up, the resistance that you have up against you? What are the things that activate that in you? And if you were willing to look at it from a different perspective, right, what would be the awareness you could have? Yeah. So playing with these different ways of looking at communication is really helpful so that you can see things not only, right, from behind a mask or a veil, right? Not only how you should be, what you're supposed to be, right? But being willing to not detach from who you really are. So we talk about this connecting with you, acknowledging the magic and the difference you are, right? Connecting with your body. And we call it intuition, we call it gut feeling, we call it your sage way of being, right? Your knowing, we call it in access. But knowing when something is right for you, when something is not right for you, and perceiving the difference. Yeah. And disconnecting from who you are not is about never, ever putting up a wall or a barrier that does not allow you to see beyond that. And especially because when you're asking for things to show up in your life, when you're asking for people to show up in your life, they may be at the behind that wall or barrier that you've got up and they can't get in. Right? So what is it that's showing up in your life that seems like it is not in line with you, but that if you were grateful for it, it'd be so much easier for what you are seeking to show up, communicating with everyone and everything. Yeah. And these masks and veils that we put on, that we feel like we're supposed to be a certain way, you know, if we're actually willing to be genuinely who we are, then who and what will contribute to us finds us with ease. Yeah. And I had a question during this ABC class with Dr. Dane about, you know, how a lot of times we're behind a mask or a veil, we're not wanting to be too much for people. Is anyone like that? Like if you were really 150,000% present, you would be bombarding people, right? And I remember the first time I did a session with Dr. Dane, I didn't want to, take up too much of his time. He was, tired. And he was like, no, no, come, let's do it. So I started talking to him. And I don't know if he heard what I was saying, but what he said to me was, why do I feel so grateful and so comfortable with you that I've never felt before? And I said, oops, I had no mask. I had no veil. I was completely, uniquely, genuinely me. And it was gratitude. And what I got was how much we try to hide behind a pictured image of us, right? Communicating not authentically, but in the way we think we're supposed to communicate, right? That is not who we really are. So, what have we identified, right? Or misidentified, right? As who we are, that if we were just willing to be grateful for our flaws, our attitude, our mood, our points of view, then we would be genuinely us, authentically us, and irresistible. Yeah. So once you've connected with you and disconnected from who you are not, you're not a walls and barriers person. You're not a mask or a veil. Right? Then we can reconnect in a way full of gratitude. Reconnect with people, even seeing them from their perspective. A lot of times, I don't know if it's ever shown up for you, that you think somebody's judging or criticizing you or reacting to you or not being kind, and they're saying something to you in a way that gets you putting up barriers and blocks and going into reaction. And it might not have anything to do with you, right? The fifth step of these 7 steps is engaging with the universe. In the book, I use one of my favorite access tools, um, which is creating energy flows. It's really knowing you're not alone. You never have been, and you never will be. And you can actually engage with people, not just the two of you, but the wind, the energy, the flowers, the trees. You can create an energy flow. You can acknowledge where they might be functioning from. And once you're connected with you, and disconnected from who you are not, you are willing and able, right, to create a flow of communication with people in a very different way, right? And what would you like your communication to be like? What is it that you is your objective or goal, quote unquote, or target in communication with your kids? We have uh, 7 Steps teachers who are doing classes on communication with kids who are our future, with your body, with your business. And we have a 7 Steps to Abundance in communication in your business, and do business training with the 7 Steps. Simple, right? But quite genuine. And how can you engage with people in a way that doesn't make them feel wrong and that activates gratitude in a flawless way, right? And what does flawless mean? Flawless means that there's nothing that is on the road between you and you. When you're genuinely being you, your communication is only flawless. So when we are reconnecting with people and we're willing to see it from their perspective, they're grateful. You know, I always say this, it's a bit of a joke. Like if someone is boring, if you've like, you're talking with someone or you get a friend or something and they're like so boring, they are unique. Because how could you possibly be boring, right? With so much going on around you, how could you possibly be boring with all the cells and molecules moving around in your body, right? How could you possibly be boring with all the stuff that goes on in your mind? You must have a capacity to really tone that down. And so if you're curious and you know that you are unique, nobody does you like you do you, then you know that other people are unique as well. And we play with that a bit in the 7 Steps so that you can actually acknowledge what's different about you. It's easy for others to see it. It's totally easy. I'm walking in, the class, I'm on the bed, and everyone, they obviously see it. What's unique and different about you. But are you willing to see it? And if you're willing to see it, then you're certainly aware that it exists in others. So this engaging the universe, this 5th step, is about engaging with people and seeing them from different perspectives and being grateful for your capacity to engage with them in 360 degrees, right? And this communication is flawless when you are not contracted mentally, when you're not contracted physically. I don't know if you've ever been overwhelmed by people, by something, right? A lot of times we get overwhelmed when we are having up barriers and people are invading our space. But if we pull down those barriers, pull down those barriers, pull down those barriers. Thank you, barriers. Thank you for protecting me up until now. Thank you so much, barriers. Thank you so much. I'm actually willing to be present in a way without barriers that's genuinely me. Thank you so much. Come on down. 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 Right? then others see you. And when you expand your zone and don't allow your body to collapse within and your mind to have one point of view only, then what you pick up on and what you communicate is exactly what the person needs to hear, needs to see, needs to feel so that they feel at home. Because step 6 is expand your zone, and you can communicate with your furry and invisible friends. That's the sort of side note about the 6th step. And step 7 is about connecting with the earth. It's establishing true connection. And when you're connected with the earth, you feel at home wherever you go, with whomever you are, and they feel finally grateful to not be judged, rejected, or denied. So, this working with people in a different way, engaging with family in a different way, engaging with you in a different way, it allows you to explore your possibilities of creating something that has never existed up until now here in this world, because you are uniquely you. So we love to invite you to explore your flawless communication and play with it and use it to add something to the world that if you weren't here, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't exist. So if you'd like to know some more, you can get the 7 Steps to Flawless Communication. The book is in 20 languages. It's on Amazon. It's on Access Shop. Got a couple languages where it's somehow Hindi and Hebrew, the H languages. It's not in there, but it is in Hungarian, in the H language. And also there are teachers around the world in different languages. We've got, and we will be doing every, I don't know if you know the number 7, right? It's today. And then +7 is 14. And there's always an, um, an intro on the 14th. And then +7 is 21. There's always a 3, 4, 5 hour class on the 21st. And on the 28th, right? The last 7 of the month, we have explosion classes. Yeah. And so it's quite easy to become a teacher. And it's a bit of not necessarily a community, but we have monthly meetups and people who have your back, and how the teachers are always sharing what different ways you can use the 7 steps to create more in your life. We've got on the 14th of this month, we have 3 Dr. S's in 7 steps teachers. Two from India, one from El Salvador, and we'll be doing about bodies because they work with bodies. So 7 steps to flawless communication with bodies, and health, and how you can use that for health. And on the 17th, something special with this guy Omar from Iraq. And we do have the translations in different languages. So if you would like more information on that, you can definitely join. And thank you so much. I'm really grateful for you being here live or listening later. And please take a moment and ask, what is it that I'm grateful for today? And how can I communicate that to myself, to my body, and to others,
ve başkalarıyla
and to the earth,
ve yeryüzüyle
and to the earth.
ve yeryüzüyle.
That must be in another language. Yeah. All right. Thank
Yes,
you.
sorry,
Anyone have any question? You
yes,
have, that's
yes,
fine,
I
darling.
think Laila has a question. She's raising hands.
Yes, Lila.
Hi, Kass. This is Layla from Saudi.
Hi, Layla. Layla, Lay. Hi, Layla.
So I've got a question. You were talking about gratitude and waking up and writing down what we're most grateful for at the start of our day. So I did this practice for about 2 months, where every day when I wake up, um, I grab a notebook and I write down at least 5 things I'm grateful for. Sometimes the list can go on, but some days I feel like it's very heavy, like I force upon writing it, but I'm not getting the feeling of that true gratitude, like it's not coming 100% from the heart, if you know what I mean. Like I know those are good things that exist in my life, but I struggle with that. Like how do I take the heaviness or make it light for myself?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Great question. And you know, what came up for me when you said that, right, is are you already feeling gratitude? And so when you do, you have to write it down every morning? Or is it when you wake up and you know you're actually in self-judgment or in or cranky pants? It's basically cranky pants, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. That you ask, okay, truth, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? And does it have to be something complicated?
yeah, I
And
agree.
what I would suggest for you, and this is that connecting phase, is to breathe in and breathe out. I'm grateful that I have a breath of air. Something so simple, so simple. And when you start with something simple, see what else shows up. And this step one is show me the magic. And I would suggest you look out the window in the morning, right? And look up, if you can, in the sky and ask, universe, sun, God, Allah, Buddha, Shiva, show me the magic. Show me the magic that I am, that maybe I'm not seeing in this moment. And breathe in and breathe out and breathe in and breathe out and see how it changes your day, you know? Because
Thank
there's
you.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say thank you. I've never done that. I'm relatively new to access consciousness. I've recently taken the bars and the foundation, but I've done other modalities of energy like Reiki, Genshin, pranic, and all of that. And but I think with the, like you mentioned, the latest of the news and what's going on in the world, and especially around over here, it's just it can be overwhelming waking up to that every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what is it that's going to be a contribution to you? You know, sometimes, do you have to read the news?
I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I avoid.
Yeah, what are you aware of? Yeah. And having some tools and about different ways, it's a tricky way with the 7 steps of connecting with you and having really something. And I think that you have the book, right?
Which one? Sorry.
The 7 steps to flawless communication book.
No, this is my first time attending with you. I'm thankful for coming across this Zoom.
Thank you so much for joining. And if you're available, um, join us, you'll see lots of different different approaches, because all of the teachers, it's really a pragmatic way
Yeah, I
of,
see. I think Bruce is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Is it
getting, yeah, it really is. And you know, everything, I like to invite people to explore the space of consciousness, right? And when I wrote this book, you know, I was encouraged to write it, and it said you do not have to use any language. You don't have to use American language. You don't have to use Access language. You don't have to use Italian language. Use Kass language and share with people what you know about communication. So, will you acknowledge and be grateful that you chose to be here today?
definitely 100%? So much. I'll be
Thank
definitely.
you, Shoka. Yeah. Anyone else? Awesome. Awesome. Well, there's the next in 7 days we've got an intro with the Dr. S's about bodies, and in yeah, on the 17th, as I said, we have in a Prelude class with Mr. Omar from Iraq, who's a lovely, very kind guy. Check it out. Anyway, you find it all on kassthomas.com. And thank you so much for joining. Okay. All right. Anyone else? You good, Christina? Cool. Okay.
Christina, me?
Yeah. Christina,
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'm good. I was switching from my car to my apartment.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. It's delightful to be here together.
Thank
And
you
I'm
for your contribution.
And I'm grateful. And please, please, please be grateful for you today. Okay. Yeah. All right.